This is the Bartholomew Town Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Bartholomew Town Podcast. It's Bill Bartholomew here with you for new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And, of course, you can check the archive of nearly 300 episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or ripodcast.com. Today, we welcome the new mayor of Warwick, Rhode Island, Frank Picozzi, for an interesting conversation, kind of all over the place on his goals as mayor, sort of community building, where he wants to focus. He really goes out of his way to identify himself as a non-politician, his relationship with the media, and really where he wants to see Warwick go as a municipality. We talk development, we talk affordable housing, we talk the relationship with the airport, schools, the different neighborhoods in the city. Lots in there on the third largest municipality here in Rhode Island on this edition of B-Town. By the way, folks, it's been a really interesting period here in the Ocean State, obviously, with Governor Raimondo leaving to become Joe Biden's Commerce Secretary, Dan McKee sworn in as the 76th governor of the state. We just had a special election. The General Assembly's back. It does seem like we're finally catching up in terms of vaccinations and getting them into the arms of the right people and developing a plan that can kind of move us forward from where we've been for quite some time as far as COVID-19. I want to remind you that every Thursday at 1 p.m., I'm in the room for the weekly COVID-19 briefing with the Rhode Island Department of Health and Governor McKee. You can stream that live on our Facebook group. Just search Bartholomew Town on Facebook. Make sure you join the group. You'll also be able to interact with other viewers, and I post a bunch of stuff in there, and there's always an interesting conversation throughout the day on Rhode Island politics and a little bit beyond there as well. That's the Facebook group, Bartholomew Town. You may also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Bill Bartholomew. Lots going on here in the Ocean State on a regular basis, and I try to bring it to you as soon as it happens across social media. You can also send me an email anytime, bill@ripodcast.com. I get back to everybody, so if you have a question that you want me to ask somebody in government or media, whatever, send it on over. I'll do the best I can to put it forth, or maybe I can answer it myself as well. I mean, I'm certainly not an expert on all these topics, but I get a lot of information thrown at me that I can direct back to you as well. Constituent services here at B-Town, so to speak. It's been, as I mentioned, it's been kind of a whirlwind year, and we're all just sort of hoping that the virus will be contained in a manner that we can sort of move into what they were describing in the Department of Health and even Governor Raimondo back in, I think, even December, a great Rhode Island summer. And that's certainly not something that seems so far-fetched at this point in time. Now, I think it'll always be a little bit different, of course. You're going to have people in masks. There's going to be common sense that's going to have to be taking place on a regular basis. But it is relieving to know that we're getting this dialed in. We seem to be getting the vaccinations into the right arms, as I said earlier, and we've got a testing and triage situation set up that is effective. The virus is certainly not over, and I mean, if you look at expertise, it may not be over for years. It may just be something we have to live with at one level or another. But I think it was just a couple of weeks ago where, you really had some doubts about where we were heading, and it does feel like we're turning the corner. And so I appreciate in terms of COVID-19, I appreciate all of you who have been out there that have been listening to the podcast during COVID, that have been interacting either on social media or through emails or texts, whatever it may be. And those of us that have stuck together, I know a lot of you have even abandoned kind of your political infrastructure, your political beliefs, to just sort of say, hold on a second, what's going on? How can we solve this problem? And if we are able to, I was talking with a friend last night about this. I think that, this would by far, to me, outperform a person on the moon, any other great quote unquote scientific achievement that we've had in modern history. I mean, we're living through something that will be a spectacular moment in human history if we're able to dial this in. Now, that's not to say that the hundreds of thousands of lives lost, over 2,500 here in the Ocean State, can be discounted in any way, shape, or form. But let's be honest about it. We're heading in a direction right now. We're in a period of time that should be hopeful to all of us. I know for me it is, and it's been tough. It's been taxing on your soul, your mental health for so many reasons. And I don't know. I just want to say thank you to all of you who are out there who have been providing optimism and a realistic vision of where we're at at various stages of COVID-19 here in the Ocean State. And let's hope we're moving into a place that we can all enjoy some semblance of normalcy, some semblance of excitement, and have a great summer. I mean, that's my goal right now. All right, let's get to today's conversation. Again, Mayor Frank Picozzi, he was just elected as an independent in Warwick. Somewhat of an upset over Joe Solomon. Some political followers certainly were surprised by that victory. He's been a member of the Warwick community for decades and has established himself in enough little areas that he was able to build up the momentum to become the mayor of Warwick. And here he is right now, his first appearance on Rhode Island's podcast of record, B-Town. So, Mayor, welcome to Bartholomew Town here, your inaugural appearance. And first of all, now you're a couple of months into your role as the mayor of the second largest / third largest city, depending on if you're counting the prison and so forth in Rhode Island. What's it been like for you right out of the gate? Just all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but now you're in this pretty significant role. What has that done to you? What is your life like now?
My life is a lot different. I mean, I had a very relaxed, happy life being in private industry, but I love the job. It's a challenge. The city we have a lot of challenges we're going through, and COVID isn't helping. It's taking a lot of time. I'm trying to set the city on a new course. We have problems to solve. COVID's not helping with it, but we're moving forward every day. It's a job I love, though.
What's the biggest challenge facing Warwick right now overall?
Well, it's hard to pick one. I mean, the equipment, our fire trucks, our garbage trucks and all that, the fleet's been declining for years and nothing was done to address it. So we're starting that process now. Money's always an issue. We had 30 layoffs last year. We weren't able to provide quality services. We got away with it a little bit because of COVID. I mean, there weren't a lot of functions, but it's time to end that. I'm starting to recall workers because people want the services, the degree of services they had last year. We have the pool, which people love. I mean, it's a big part of the community. It was let go due to lack of maintenance and over a couple of years, and it's very expensive. We're over $60,000 right now. We're underway with repairs, trying to get that open to the public. The rink has problems. Our recreational facilities aren't what they should be. School buildings, there's a lot of challenges.
Warwick
is hard to prioritize.
Well, Warwick is a diverse community, even geographically speaking. It's physically large. There's coastal aspects. There's suburban aspects. There's somewhat urban aspects to it as well. Of course, you think about the schools and the facilities there and the challenges that they're in. I guess, how have you been able to connect to the different elements of the municipality and sort of rally them around what you've envisioned in terms of your mayoral program?
Well, I didn't just appear. I've been involved in the community for years. I know a lot of people here. A lot of people live here I grew up with. I coach. People have voted me that I coached when they were little girls. I've always been invested in the community. So I know the problems. I know the issues. I know the people. I know what the concerns are. So I use that as a guide.
I think about Warwick over the years and, certainly in modern times, if you will, you've got Rob Cody, Ken Block, and folks like that who have offered routine complaints. At the same time, you've had members of the political co-op who have, in some cases, run for election or have just offered significant complaints about the city. What do you say to the folks who have been, in some cases, making a name for themselves by sort of positioning themselves as against the status quo in Warwick?
I listen to him. I mean, everyone has something to say. I can learn from things. I mean, I talked to Rob Cody a couple of times during my campaign. Nothing, he just stopped by to see me and he told me of his concerns. I haven't had large conversations with him. I've never really talked to Ken Block. But like I said, I do listen to what people have to say, no matter what their agenda, no matter what their complaints, because I think everyone should have input, and what they say has some value. I try to assess what everyone has to offer.
What about the notion of Warwick, with the vaccine rollout? You were sort of one of the first municipalities, maybe even the first municipality to offer vaccine. I know you were doing it in East Greenwich, but how much of that program have you taken, has the rest of the state, I guess, taken from original ideas that emanated from Warwick?
Well, we had the regional part. We took part in that, and then the state told us that we could do our own, which we did. A lot of cities did. Initially, they gave us 390 doses, and that was like a surprise. We had 24 hours to come up with a plan. So they told us 75 plus. So we did first come, first serve. But then they started giving us regular doses. It was supposed to be 540, but it ended up being 640. And we had our own pod. And this is our third. We just completed our third week. This week was a little bit of a challenge because we switched from Moderna to Pfizer. It's the problem with the challenge is with Moderna, you have 4 weeks in between the first and second shot. And with Pfizer, you have 3 weeks. So we're going to have to double up on the last couple of weeks when we do the second shot. But we got it done. It takes a lot of resources. We need a lot of people. We were able to get them. But now what the state's going to do is they're going to go back to regional parts. And they're going to have in geographic locations where it'll be, in addition to the state sites, they're going to have in geographic positions around the state to make it convenient to people.
What's something that people don't know about Warwick throughout the state? There's something that stands out. Like, I know I was surprised when I started discovering some of the, during COVID, frankly, and I'm living in Providence, so I started driving around trying to explore some of the parks, some of the woodlands that are in the city. What do people not know about Warwick?
There's a lot of things, a lot of hidden gems. Everyone knows Oakland Beach and Connecticut and Rocky Point, but we have a lot of areas. The village of Norwood. It's people don't really know about unless you live there. It's a very charming area. The people are very community minded. They have a great big gazebo there. They gather. They're very active in their PTO. And Warwick has a lot of that. It's one big city, but it's we have a lot of little Mayberries in it. And people tend to stay in the areas and they grow up there and they stay there for generations. Warwick's unique that way.
Yeah, the Norwood Library. And that is a fascinating area.
The library, they have, I think our last independent drugstore is down there too.
It is, right.
Yeah, it's like I said, I love the people. I love the spirit. They're just average, normal working people. And it's just, when I drive through there, it's just a great place. I just love seeing the people out and about. But we have that in Connecticut. We have it in Oakland Beach. Warwick has a lot of sections. We are united. Everybody takes, great pride in being a member of the city. We have over 80,000 people. But like I said, it's like a small town. You grew up here and generations stay. At least that's the way it's always been.
You've got the airport, of course, so there's always been challenges with that in terms of, in some cases, housing and housing near the airport, housing being removed for further construction of the airport.
Right.
TF Green is appearing on all these national lists, and it is a good place to fly out of. There's no question about it. It's obviously a preference to Kennedy or Logan. There's no doubt about it. But what's that like? What is that relationship like? And what do you want to see in terms of growth from a tourism side with Warwick as a presence regionally?
Well, the airport, it is inconvenient. It's taken a lot from us. Some people really don't like it, but we try to live with it as best we can because it is a great revenue engine. We have the hotels and the restaurants here because of the airport. It's left its mark. It's taken a lot of homes. It's taken, we've closed schools, because of it, because our population is going down. But, it's just something we have to live with. It's right in the middle of the city, too. You have to drive around. I'd prefer it was somewhere else, but it's here, and it's here to stay. And I don't know if they have further expansion plans. It's something we always have to prepare for. So, like I said, we just try to make the best of the bad situation.
All right, it's better than
of the situation, I should say. It's they worked in partnership with the city over the years. I'm going to talk to them soon about maybe some beautification projects. We could work together, make Post Road look a little better than it is. When they built the big parking garage, a lot of the area rental agencies abandoning the lots, and they're just sitting there unused right now. Some of them we have some development plans for them. We have a lot of development coming up in Warwick, actually. It was kind of suppressed for the last couple of years, and it's bursting at the seams. It's going to increase the tax base. There are a lot of good projects there. Some will be residential. We have pressing issues. We have several schools that are closed down. They're just sitting there boarded up. They're getting broken into. into. It's not a good look. It looks horrible. We're going to market those pretty soon. We're going to it's an asset for the city. We're going to market them. We're going to allow development on them.
Do you see those as becoming potentially what Pawtucket, or I'm sitting in Elmwood right now in a converted loft building in Providence? Do you get the sense that there's an opportunity for that brand of development to take place and work with some of these old buildings where you're pushing towards entrepreneurs and work-live spaces for artists, or affordable housing, capital and lowercase a, for anyone out there? Is that something you see as emerging?
Well, we have Aldrich Junior High School. It's a big building. It's an old building. The architect that designed it actually designed City Hall. We've had a lot of interest in that for housing, for elderly housing, but it's something that has to go up to bid. There's land behind there, and that will probably be subdivided. Then the other buildings we have are small buildings. They probably wouldn't be used for something like that. They're elementary school buildings. I can't imagine, and they're not in great shape. I mean, roofs leak. Those would probably be raised, and it'd be houses probably, because they're all in areas where there's already housing. So we're not going to put anything commercial on those lots.
You were part of a wave of new voices that either because of term limitations or just change in direction that took place in the 2020 election. I guess what's the biggest difference on paper, if you will, between your administration and the Solomon administration?
There's a lot of changes. I'm not a politician. I got here as an independent. I had no endorsements for any political parties or unions, and that's the way I'm running the city. It's totally independent of everything. No one has any influence on me. When I went out and hired people, I mean, they were all new people. I didn't have anyone to bring with me. My campaign staff was my wife and my daughters. I mean, I didn't have anyone to give jobs. I had to go out and find people, and I found the best, most talented people I could. It's a very open government. The last administration was known for not talking to people, not letting people in. I do weekly reports. I talk to anyone that wants to talk to me, and I listen to people too. And it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, certainly there was I don't know if it's bizarre is the right word, but there was some tension between the Warwick Beacon and the previous administration. Do you have a good relationship with John Howell and that paper? Oh
yeah, he has a weekly meeting with us. He's a local newspaper. He's important to the city because he does a lot. He covers a lot of social events. He puts the kids' names in the newspaper when they make Eagle Scout. It's a vital resource for the community, and I give him all the courtesy that we have possible. Like I said, he has an appointment every Tuesday. We talk to the press frequently too, probably too frequently.
Hey, do you want to reach tens of thousands of Rhode Islanders each month? And not just any Rhode Islanders who are plugged into politics, media, arts and culture, newsmakers, and all that is going on in the Ocean State. Well, we can help you do that through podcast, live stream, social media advertising, and much more. Send me an email, bill@ripodcast.com, or text me 401-524-6825. I heard you on Matt Allen, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, over on WPRO, and it's interesting, the position of mayor, whether you're talking Warwick, Newport, I guess even Woonsocket, that is a voice that could rise to a statewide type of voice. I don't know if it would ever become mayor of Providence in terms of household name and so on and so forth. But would you like to see that your role becomes more of a statewide leader, if you will, that more people from Narragansett to Nasonville know who you are and what your goals are and what's happening in Warwick?
Well, my only concern is Warwick. I mean, yeah. I focus on here. Sometimes I think my antics make me a little well known because I put everything right out there on social media and the press. Good, bad, and ugly. Whatever I do, people know about. So if it spreads beyond that, that's fine with me. But I don't know if you're talking about me running for statewide office, because that's not going to happen. This is my last stop.
Yeah, and that's interesting. That's not necessarily where I was going with it, but just more in terms of the role being something that is one of those names that in Rhode Island politics that people know, like they know the mayor of Providence, or they know, the Secretary of State, or whatever it may be. Do you see the Warwick mayor as being one of those things that more people know about?
I think the press has had a lot of interest in me because I just do things differently, and I'm hoping that, more government gets like this. I do everything out in the open, and I just hope that encourages other mayors to do that. I think people should know everything that goes on in government. It's one of the reasons I ran. It'd be great if people, but as far as being well-known statewide, I'm kind of press shy as it is. I get a lot of it, but I don't try for it. And I kind of resist a lot of it too.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself politically in terms of, it's tough to say the left-right spectrum. A lot of times that stuff is just for simplification for people to put in boxes. But do you see yourself as a fiscal conservative? I mean, socially, how would you consider yourself, I guess, relative to other members of the Rhode Island political interfaces, I guess?
I'm kind of all over the place. I am a fiscal conservative. I believe in social programs. I support the Second Amendment. I'm pro-choice. And I struggle with that too, because I really, I don't like abortion, but I'm a man, and I'm pro-choice. Like I said, I'm all over the place. I don't know if you could categorize me as any one party. That's why I stay an independent.
Sort of like Lincoln Chafee coming out of the same municipality, I suppose. Although he's certainly probably at this point, I guess he's a libertarian now, technically, but.
Yeah, he could be anything now. He's a good man. I mean, I've known him for years. I knew him when he was in this office, and he was a good man. He was an honest man. I admired his father. He was kind of, he was a Republican, but I think he was pretty straight down the middle too. I can't say I'm a member of one party or another, because I don't even really lean one way or the other. And my beliefs are my beliefs, and I don't like to stick to party beliefs. So that's why I'm an independent.
Kind of going back to the small town aspect of Warwick with sports, what did you coach?
Oh, I coached girls softball for years, and then I coached Little League. I thought I was out of it when I retired, because I coached in the 90s. I was president of a girls softball league, and at the time it was the largest one in America. We had 900 girls, and we had 68 teams. That was a chore. And then I had a grandson, and somehow I got drafted into Little League, so I coached there too, and I was the treasurer of the Little League.
Warwick is a hub for sports with the Rooney Complex, with the indoor facility on Jefferson Boulevard. Just in general, even over near Norwood, there's a park there. I can't remember the name of it, but
Belmont,
exactly. And is that something you'd like to see Warwick take more of a stake on, in terms of, there's some economic development, certainly restaurant and other attractions that can grow around youth sports, which are so huge here in Rhode Island?
Yeah, our recreation facilities are horrible in Warwick. I mean, they've been let go for years, and when they do improve them, they don't maintain them. And I'm actually putting together, I have it on my desk right now, I'm putting together a recreation committee, an advisory committee. I'm charging them with, and I'm going to take people from all different sports and even the schools. I'm going to charge them with coming up with a long-term plan for improving the facilities and caring for them and maintaining them. We can't do it all at once, but we have to start somewhere, and it's going to start now.
What about school consolidation and so forth? Is that over at this point? Are things set where between Vets as a junior high school and Tollgate and things being established, do you sense more consolidation or shifts in the infrastructure of Warwick schools?
Well, our school population is down. I mean, with 80,000 people, I mean, the problem is in Warwick, our population has grown older. I can tell you in my neighborhood, where there used to be dozens of kids at the school bus stop, there's a handful now. Someday that's going to change when younger families move in and us old people move out. But I don't see any more consolidation. We have some bonds going to improve the conditions of the current schools, but there's also a couple of plans on the table to improve the high schools. There's one to build a central large high school, but I'm not in favor of that one because it's logistically impossible. There's no way to put it in Warwick where it wouldn't cause a nightmare. But they have probably 4 or 5 options each for the 2 existing high schools, Pilgrim and Tollgate. And we're actually looking at that now. It's something for the ballot in 2 years. And even redoing the high schools, make them state of the art, and something where it needs to do.
I've always imagined for years driving down Route 2, I've always imagined when and how could there be a Route 2A or an expansion of that sector of roadway. It doesn't feel as bad, obviously, during COVID in terms of traffic, but that's a potential logjam on a regular basis. is there a traffic pattern? And let's not even get into the Appanator or any of that, but is there a potential traffic?
I drive that every day.
Can only imagine. Is there a potential traffic mitigation strategy that may make sense in the commercial hub of Warwick? We're talking about by the Best Buy and that whole sector. Is there a way to improve that could possibly happen without eminent domain or building some kind of Route 2A through existing housing?
You froze up on me. They've talked for years about coordinating the lights up there, the red lights, to make the traffic flow better. I don't think they've ever done it. Something we have to talk to DOT about. Unfortunately, when they built Route 2, if you go up to South Attleboro and you see their stores, they have the traffic almost in the parking lots. It connects that way. Yes. And Route 2 was just kind of built piecemeal because I don't think anyone ever thought there was going to be development up there. Because way back in the 80s, there was so much ledge up there, and no one ever thought they were going to build anything. And then there just wasn't, a lot of thought put into it, and the traffic is a nightmare. But I think that would be a hard one to solve. It's kind of like Mineral Spring Avenue. What could you ever do about that?
Right.
And then Mineral Spring Avenue is where I compare everything to. When you talk about the traffic on Route 2, I say go to Mineral Spring Avenue any time of the day, and it's worse. It would be great if there's a plan, and I'd also like to, Route 2. It's I'd love to see the sidewalks redone and better street lamps because it just, it's not as attractive as it could be.
Yeah, that's interesting. More of a Main Street feel. Obviously, it's tough to have Main Street
with
Target and Best Buy, but it's at the same time the vibe could be there. Last couple of questions here. What's your message to someone who is looking to relocate right now? Maybe they're looking to buy a home, rent a home, whatever it may be. Why Warwick?
Our tax rates are one of the lowest in the state for this, especially for the services we provide. We have top-notch service. We pick up the trash, recycling. We have Providence Water. We have sewers in most of the areas. We have the schools are coming back. We have some work to do on them, but they're still, you can still get a quality education here in Warwick. We're going to start improving the facilities. We have 39 miles of shoreline. We have great restaurants. We have great people. It's just a wonderful community to live in.
Last question for someone who is a lifelong member of, I think you said your oldest resident is 105 years old.
Yeah, 106. Just had a birthday.
Wow. Well, happy birthday out there. What's the legacy of Warwick? I mean, we could go all the way back to Samuel Gorton. We could go back to indigenous times. Do you feel that a place like Warwick, my mom grew up in Cranston. I feel like there's a gap in terms of that history, if you will, that legacy of the city, that as new people come in, the stories, the historical aspects of it, the recent history gets somewhat lost. What would you like to see communicated about Warwick's history over the last 106 years that other generations can continue to work to build upon?
The way Warwick's grown, I'm a big fan of Warwick history. I see the picture of the things that used to be here. Warwick is just like everywhere else in Rhode Island. You give directions by where things used to be. Yeah. We still say where Jack in the Box used to be instead of where Five Guys is, and it used to be Lums and not Hooters. Warwick has a great sense of itself. A lot of people, like I said, they lived here. I've lived here since 1968, and I'm still kind of a newcomer. I see people that just grew up here. They stayed here. Their parents were here. I don't think that's ever going to go away in Warwick, and it's just something we like to keep going too.
Rhode Island's podcast of record, B-Town.
At HealthSource RI for Employers, we provide access to health insurance to more than 1,100 local businesses and nonprofits, and 96% of them renew through us every year. Maybe it's our choice of 19 different health plans, our 10 years of customizing solutions, or our one local team of dedicated experts helping employers find quality health insurance. See how our numbers stack up for you. Learn more at healthsourceri.com/employers.